First, I have to say thank you so much. And it's funny, I've been telling people I was going to do this interview with you, and everybody felt the same way. We feel like we are speaking to royalty um, because of what your family has done for generations of music, and not just for music, but we're talking about inspiration in wanting to change the world, in celebrating love, and just celebrating just to be happy through music. And I want to ask you, how does it feel when you hear that last name Marley, first name Bob, is spoken, and it's spoken with such respect and such passion and such love from so many people from so many different races around the world?
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. I remember when I was young, I used to say, "That's my daddy." I don't say that anymore. But on the inside, the little girl is screaming that. But on the outside, the mature woman is going, "That's cool."
Well, one of the big things we get to talk about is something that's happening, which is an amazing exhibit in such a beautiful fashion. But before we get to that, I really have to ask though, what is it like to be the daughter of a legend?
Um, I don't know. It's like my parents are my parents, and so I've never known any other parents. So it's kind of it's just mommy and daddy. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, manners and respect.
Very, very true. But when we hear those two words, one love, that has resonated around the world, how do you feel about those two words being put together and having such a passionate meaning for so many people?
Well, I think the impact of those words is what makes me smile and makes my heart happy. Um, it's simple, you know. It's like daddy was a simple man. Like he really wanted to see simple things happen because he believed that we have the power to make the changes that we want. You know, we're the one that vote for people, right? We put them in power, and so we can take them out of power when things aren't going out. So really and truly, we have the power, and that is one thing that he really wanted every single human being to know, that every man has a right to decide his own destiny, right? And then he goes, "You're right, you're right, you're right." So we have to fight. So you get the many faces of Bob, because in one song he can tell you how to love, and then in that same song he can say, "But if you have to fight for it, then be prepared to fight." Right? So that's that's him. That's him in a nutshell.
Absolutely. And I have to make mention, my parents did see him perform at Maple Leaf Gardens, and it was in the 70s. And they had an
That's
amazing
here,
time.
right?
That's here in Toronto, yeah. And he had amazing. Maple Leaf Gardens isn't around anymore, but it used to be the staple point for concerts. The Rolling Stones, the Beatles performed there, and of course, a legend Bob Marley performed there too. And as I said, my parents went to that show to see them. So I was, of course, way too young, but I always wished I
Right.
could have as I've grown older. But at least I get something else, which is this amazing exhibit that is celebrating his life, his legacy, his music. For folks who don't know what this is, please explain what it is, please, because it's being done in so many different fashions, from art, visual arts, and through computer science, if you want to put it that way too.
Yeah, I mean the Bob Marley One Love experience. It's it's a little bit of Bob in every room, in every walk you make, you see a little piece of him. You get to know Bob the musician, Bob the athlete, um, and then Bob the artist and the husband and the father. You know, I think it really touches on all of those aspects of his life. My one of my There are tons of favorite things that I really love about this exhibit, but we have the soul shakedown room, right? Then we have the silent disco, where we have a bunch of headphones, and no, each headphone is playing different songs. So I would be in there listening to jamming. You might get yours and you listening to turn your lights down low. And so you're in there watching people dance to whatever they're listening to. And it might look hilarious, from anyone that's just walking in. But it's just to see people just having a good time, you know, and bringing their essence. Because I love other people's energy too, and that was what I saw in the London exhibition was the other people's energy and how they brought the room alive. You know, yeah.
I know your family is very protective of his image. How did this come about that this was allowed to happen? And I say that, of course, with respect because I know your family would not just let anybody just say, hey, I want to do this and just let it happen. What were the things that they had to follow to make sure that his spirit was presented in the manner that it should be presented and what we're going to see?
Well, I mean, most of the images that are here we own, so that was easy. um, the second part of the exhibition is where we have other artists who lend their artwork. We have Mr. Brainwash, we have the Postman, we have a ton of young upcoming artists as well established artists showcasing their artwork here in the exhibition. And it's stuff that we have seen and approved. So it was pretty easy working with Jason and Terrapin because we've done this before with them. So we have the right formula now that we can take this exhibition and just take it to the entire world. UK was first, yeah, because Daddy loved that place.
Yes.
That's where he did some of his most inspiring revolutionary work. Exodus came out of, him being in exile. And then when everybody goes, why Toronto? We say, why not Toronto? You know, First of all, we have a ton of family here. I don't think a lot of people know that. And the Caribbean community, is here. And then, of course, Drake is here. So, you know, we had to bring it to Drake's home.
I have to jump in. What do you think your dad would have thought of Drake and his music?
Daddy would have loved Drake, man. I mean, you know what? I think Daddy would have loved Drake from when Drake was like acting in his sitcoms and stuff like that. To seeing him now, I think it's something that Daddy would have been like, "Go on, my boy, go on, yeah, man." Yeah,
I
man.
love that. What was the biggest when you finally had a chance to see the whole exhibit? What was the biggest surprise for you? I know you mentioned about your favorites, but was there something that you went, I didn't even realize this, or something that really touched you in a way that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before, and then when you finally did see it in this stage, went, oh my goodness.
I really love I call it the forest room because it reminds me of Dunsborough Fall and where's that place that I used to drive through? Fern Gully. It's almost like say we had to bring a little bit of Jamaica into the exhibition. You know what I mean? And then it just has this swing, just this one swing in that entire room. And it evokes a different type of emotion out to me because it feels very, you know what it is? It reminds me of 9 Mile because it's so peaceful. It's so peaceful. And then the one swing is now that I'm thinking of it is that is mausoleum. It's like but that's just how I feel about it. I think everybody comes through there and they're gonna have a different emotion. So
What do you hope then that people who come to see this and, older folks like myself or even younger folks who are just learning and experiencing him, what do you hope they get from this?
I mean, for the younger ones, I think from a man who came from so little, you know, and with his own self determination, decided that he was going to be a change and he was going to use his voice to become a change. Um, Anything is possible once you put your mind to it and you decide to put in the work. It's not just your mind. Your mind not going to make things happen. You have to be ready to put in the work. He rehearsed harder than anyone. He played his guitar harder than anyone. He played his football harder than anyone. You know, sometimes being an overachiever is kind of okay. You know, it's kind of good to dream for the stars. You know, and put in the work and get there. Yeah. So I think that's a lesson that all of us can take from Daddy.
Absolutely. One last question. My favorite song, Waiting in Vain. Please tell me I'm going to hear that in some point in this exhibit.
I mean, I can play it for you personally if you don't.
It is my all time favorite. I cannot
I
wait.
will make sure you hear it. Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Let's make sure that's on the playlist. Let's not let him down now.
Oh my goodness. Look, there is no way any of y'all can let me down. Look, I've got the Bob Marley bag. I've got my Bob Marley headphones. Today I'm wearing one of my Bob Marley shirts. And if I had the chance, I would have pulled out all the Bob Marley vinyl that we bought over the years. So you
See that?
know that we, my family, are true fans of a legend. So I wanted to
Gonna
say
hear it.
thank you so much for this interview. Thank you so much for putting Toronto on that list to have this amazing exhibit. And most importantly, just thank you so much for the great music and the great inspiration. Thank you again.
Thank you. See you later. One love.